Whoa, this is the Morning Devo with Bo-O, and we are fired up today, man. That is some cruising music right there, man. Certainly like that tune. Let me find out what tune that is, man. I like that. I'm a big house guy. Big love techno. Still spin records, by the way. But God, that's a good Absorbed in a Point. That's what it's called. But I'm gonna like that one. I like that one. That's a cool tune for sure. So I added that one to my Devo like page. I get all the music. It's what is it? It's not free to use, but you can pay an annual price and you get the rights to these tunes. It's called Uppbeat, UPPBEAT. So that's where I kind of get my stuff, and very cool. But welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo-O. Glad you are with me. And it's good to be in the house. We're going to be in Isaiah chapter, not 15, 16. Come on, Paul is right. That's old news. Let's switch this up. Isaiah 17, that's where we're at today. So yeah, Isaiah 17. And this is going to be a message about Damascus in Israel. And so that's where we're at. Isaiah, it's great. He gets to share as an underdog in the community, right? It's interesting. It's not like the prophets or the people of God or some big power structure that wants money and that they're, that's why they formed. That's what I used to say when I was growing up in Southern California. A lot of times when you grow up totally secular and progressive, you don't really know the Bible at all. So what you do is you kind of make up stuff as you go. You kind of go, oh, I bet you they just formed because they want money. Obviously, Isaiah is going to get killed. This guy's going to get sawn in two by the power structures that don't want anything to do with his message. He is bringing news from Yahweh, the deity, right? God, to the power structure, and the power structure wants nothing to do with it. And doesn't that sound familiar? 700 years later, Jesus is on the scene. He is the prophet, priest, and king to Israel. He shares with them, and what do? Hate him, right? Yeah. And so, when us secular progressive people, start saying things like the church is there to just take your money, You just don't know. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was so clueless. No, these guys were the underdog. They were the person who was going up against the man, right? So chapter 17, the message came to Isaiah concerning Damascus. And before I go further, let me just say hello to everybody. It's very good having you guys all with me today. It says, look, the city of Damascus will disappear. Okay, so this is about Damascus, one of the oldest cities alive on the planet. It says, it will disappear. It will become a heap of ruins. Wow, you could maybe do some history to see if Damascus has become a heap of ruins. The towns of Or will be deserted. Flocks will graze in the streets and lie down undisturbed. With no one to chase them away, people will be gone. It says the fortified towns of Israel will also be destroyed, and the royal power of Damascus will end. All that remains of Syria will share the fate of Israel's departed glory, declares the Lord of Heaven's army. What a sad statement, right? You see in verse 3 that they will share the fate of Israel's departed glory. Once being glorious, but no longer. Man, that doesn't sound cool at all. It sounds like the whole story of the Bible and, our humanity. Once we're in glory with God, and then we depart and we go our own way. We start believing the lie. Hey, maybe you don't need God. Maybe you are, your own God. Maybe you can be like God. Maybe you just are the best. You're the greatest. You don't need anything. You don't need humbling. You don't need maybe to think that you don't know. No, you got it all together. You're the highest on the food chain. You're better than everything. You're greater. You know what you're doing. We kind of buy into this kind of, self-esteem thing to our own destruction, right? It's the worst thing to say to someone, hey, man, you're great. You're awesome. You're the best. You're wonderful. When in their heart, they know they're not, right? Then it almost seems like you're being kind of condescending, right, to them. They know, a person knows that they're not doing well. They know that they're struggling. They know about many different things that aren't going so well in their behavior. And then you come to them and go, you're the greatest, you're the best, right? When the glory has departed long ago, right? Sometimes it's better just to give them a hug and say, man, there's hope. There's hope for you in your life. There's hope for us as human beings. We can look up, right? I was going over Psalm 121 at church yesterday, right? I lift my eyes to the mountain. Where does my hope come from? My help comes from the Lord of creation. Looking up, right? The whole Psalms are looking upward. But a sad statement, right? Glory departing, declares the Lord. In that day, Israel's glory will grow dim. Its robust body will waste away. Right? Its glory, its strength, its power, its, abilities will all fall apart. Yeah, mine's gonna too. Right? If everything in my life is about my glory and my this and my that, that's gonna fall apart too. And it says, the whole land will look like a grain field after the harvesters have gathered the grain. It will be desolate, like the fields of the valley of Rephaim after the harvest. Only 2 or 3 remain in the highest branches, 4 or 5 scattered here and there on the limbs, declares the Lord, the God of Israel. Then at last the people will look to their Creator and turn their eyes to the Holy One of Israel. Oh, at last. Isn't that cool? At last. Hey, maybe today's going to be at last I'm going to turn my eyes and my ears towards the God of Israel, the Creator. Notice the God of Israel isn't just a God, again, of the nation of Israel. He is the Creator. This is what Isaiah has come to bring, is that God will judge you as God has judged the other nations. Just as God has departed from the other nations, right? The rejection of God has resulted in a separation of God and all the people of the planet, and of course the nations that these people are all of us are a part of. God has, in His mercy, given a revelation through Israel. That's in His mercy. Right? And in His love, He has used Israel to redeem the world, to draw the world back, to win the world back, right? To forgive their sin. But He is the God, the Creator of all. And this just keeps going forth from Isaiah. Turn. It's a great idea, repent, right? To turn your eyes to the Holy One. Maybe today there's something we need to repent of. Maybe it's something we can just think about and go, God, let me turn my eyes to you. And it says, they will no longer look to the idols for help or worship what their own hands have made. Sometimes you look at your home. Sometimes you look at something else, things, the things we have, the things our hands have made, right? The production of money, right? And the buying of purchasing of things. But those no longer really carry any weight. Now it's about God. Now we're looking to God. Hey, that's great. It's good to have something, sure. But, we know it's not going to last forever. They will never again bow down to their Asherah poles or worship at the pagan shrines they have built. Never more am I going to go back to that old way. That's kind of cool. I like that. The largest cities will be a deserted forest, like the hand of Hivites and Amorites abandoned. When the Israelites came here so long ago, it will be utterly desolate. Why? Because you have turned from the God who can save you. You have forgotten the rock who can hide you. right? The idea of hiding in God, right? Hiding in the Lord. He's our rock. Everybody's going to hide under some rock. It's just, what's the rock, right? Which rock are you hiding under, right? In the book of Revelation, people are going to hide from the wrath of God under rocks. But that's not the good rock you want to hide under, a literal rock. You want to hide under the stability of God's character. That's what gives us a good mental health, is God's character is stable. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His holiness and righteousness and justice should cause us great fear, great awe. His love and compassion and mercy and grace and peace are given to us, which should give us great comfort. Knowing that He loves us, He will help us to draw close to Him. He will give us a covering, a right standing, so that we can draw close to Him. And so God is our rock. He is the place we go to, and that's why we can have stability of mind, because He is stable. So many times growing up, how many times have I gone to other things for stability, for strength? Doesn't work. So you may plant the finest grapevines and import the most expensive seedlings. They may sprout on the day you set them out. Yes, they may blossom on every morning you plant them, but you will never pick any grapes from them. Your only harvest will be a load of grief and unrelieved pain. Yeah, you might plant something now, Isaiah says, and you might think you're going to harvest it, but judgment is coming quickly. And so, guess what? You're never going to see the fruit. You know, maybe today I can be a fisher of men, of mankind, of humankind, right? As Jesus says to Peter, you know, that kind of idea. Hey, you're going to be a fisher of humans, man. And that way, you know, I'm investing in something that's eternal, human beings, right? Maybe not so much invested in the material, but maybe in beings that will last forever, eternal. Listen, the armies of many nations roar like the roaring of seas. Oh, the nations are always roaring. Man, we got a lot of roaring nations going on. Hear the thunder of the mighty forces as they rush forward like thundering waves. But though they thunder, like breakers on the beach, God will silence them, and they will run away. They will flee like chaff scattered by the wind, like a tumbleweed whirling before a storm. In the evening Israel waits in terror, but by dawn its enemies are dead. This is the just reward of those who plunder us, and fitting end for those who destroy us. Wow. Israel will be plundered. Israel will be going, people will go after Israel, and God says, you know what? I'm going to judge you too, Israel. But you know what? There's going to be a day I protect you. I come to your rescue once again. Once again, I come to your rescue. You know, God's got a plan, and He knows how to discipline us in a right way. And we need to pay attention to that for sure. But I love that. You know, God is just, and He will reward every nation according to what they do. It's interesting that Jesus gave an interesting parable of the judgment of the nations. It seems like it's a passage that it's in Matthew 25, but Jesus talks about separating the sheep from the goats. And He talks about those able to enter His kingdom by the way they treated His brethren. Isn't that interesting? Jesus says, hey, there's going to be a judgment, and I'm going to judge. I'll be the one judging. I'm going to come in my glory. And before you can enter the kingdom that I have established at this time, I will separate people by what? How they judged His brethren. How they judged Israel? Isn't that interesting? You know, how they judged the church, the Christians. Yeah, maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, very interesting passage. But it kind of goes in the theme of so much of these prophets. that God will reward nations according to how they behave with the Jews. And so, even today, we live in a time where Israel once again is the focus of the world. What is Israel going to do next? And every day we're getting up and we're checking and seeing what's happening. And the nations of the world gather together to talk about a little tiny country the size of New Jersey. Unbelievable, right? Yes. So very cool. Great chapter, fun devotion. And, you guys have a great day for sure. Enjoy this chapter. It's a neat one. It's about Damascus, a very old city. But it also has some great implications to us as well. Don't you love how God says, hey, just come back to me. Just come back to me, and I'll be there for you. Love that. We could certainly kind of hang our hat on that today. So take care. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.